Emergence of the threat. The skies darkened over Tokyo without warning. What meteorologists initially dismissed as an anomalous storm system revealed itself as something far more terrifying. The Voidborn had arrived, and humanity was woefully unprepared. Commander. Arya Chen watched from the emergency command center beneath Shanghai as holographic displays showed the unfolding catastrophe. The alien vessels, massive obsidian structures that seemed to absorb light rather than reflect it, positioned themselves over major population centers across the globe: Beijing, New York, London, Mumbai, São Paulo, all simultaneously under the shadow of these monolithic crafts. Casualty reports coming in from all sectors, Lieutenant Wei reported, his voice strained but professional. Their weapons aren't like anything we've seen before. They're not destroying buildings, they're harvesting them, converting matter directly into energy signatures we can't even classify. Chen's artificial right eye, a military-grade enhancement from her days fighting in the resource wars, zoomed in on the footage from Mumbai. The Voidborn weapon wasn't a beam or an explosion. It was more like a ripple in reality itself, as if the laws of physics locally surrendered to the invader's will. They're methodical, Chen observed. Each attack follows a pattern: infrastructural nodes first, then communication centers, finally population extraction. Her enhanced fingers tapped against the reinforced console, marking a rhythm that matched her racing thoughts. Dr. Elise, Santos Earth Defense Coalition's lead xenobiologist, pushed through the chaos of the command center, her lab coat stained with what looked suspiciously like alien tissue. "Commander, you need to see this," she said, uploading data to the main display. "We managed to analyze debris from one of their scout ships shot down over the Pacific." The holographic display shifted to show cellular structures unlike anything terrestrial science had catalogued. "Their technology isn't separate from their biology," Santos explained. "The ships, the weapons, they're all grown, not built. They function through a collective neural network capable of processing information at quantum speeds." "So we're fighting against living ships?" Wei asked, disbelief coloring his voice. "Not exactly," Santos replied. "We're fighting against one organism spread across multiple vessels. A hive mind with distributed processing, like a neural network where each ship is a neuron." Chen's enhanced eye detected patterns in the cellular structure that human perception would miss. "There's a vulnerability here," she said, pointing to oscillation patterns in the neural activity. "Their communication relies on perfect synchronization. It's mathematically precise, too precise." For 3 days, the Voidborn systematically dismantled Earth's conventional defenses. Military installations worldwide fell silent. Nuclear deterrents fizzled before launch or were redirected into empty space. The aliens' prediction algorithms anticipated every strategic move with uncanny accuracy. But in underground bunkers and hidden facilities across the globe, humanity began to rally. Chen established contact with surviving military leaders through makeshift communication systems designed by Kai Zhang, a 22-year-old programming prodigy whose unconventional approach to network architecture made the transmissions invisible to Voidborn scanners. "They predict patterns," Zhang explained during an emergency global conference. His workspace looked like a chaotic mixture of salvaged electronics and handcrafted components. "Their entire strategic approach depends on anticipating logical responses, so we need to be illogical." Dr. Santos had made another crucial discovery. The Voidborn neural network can't process certain types of information, specifically the kind of abstract thinking humans excel at: art, music, metaphor. These concepts create cognitive dissonance in their hive mind. Chen began formulating a strategy that defied conventional military doctrine. Instead of centralized command, she proposed a distributed resistance, thousands of independent cells acting without coordination, using creativity as their primary weapon. "We don't fight their strengths," she told the assembled leaders. "We introduce chaos into their order." The first test came in the ruins of Barcelona. A small resistance cell led by former orchestra conductor Miguel Covas hijacked the city's remaining audio infrastructure. They broadcast a mixture of jazz improvisations, poetry readings, and children's laughter. sonic patterns with no discernible mathematical structure. The effect on the local void-borne vessel was immediate and dramatic. Its perfect geometric movements became erratic. The harvesting beam fluctuated wildly, creating openings in their defensive perimeter. When the resistance fighters attacked with conventional weapons, they discovered another critical weakness. The Voidborn had evolved beyond the concept of physical combat. Their perfect prediction algorithms had rendered such primitive tactics obsolete in their evolutionary history. They had no contingency for beings who would willingly risk destruction in direct confrontation. Similar reports began coming in from around the globe. In Lagos, resistance fighters used traditional drumming patterns to disrupt Voidborn communications. In Sydney, street artists projected abstract murals onto the underside of alien vessels, causing localized system failures. To Isao, Voidborn responded by intensifying their harvest operations, but their previously perfect efficiency had been compromised. What should have been humanity's extinction became a grinding war of attrition. In the Shanghai Command Center, now relocated to an abandoned subway tunnel after the primary facility was discovered, Commander Chen reviewed the incoming data. "They're adapting," she noted. "Each disruption is becoming less effective as their neural network evolves countermeasures." "Then we need to evolve faster," Dr. Santos replied. She had been working with Zhang to develop a more sophisticated weapon, one that would target the very foundation of the Voidborn neural network. "We're calling it the Cognitive Dissonance Engine," Zhang explained, displaying schematics on a salvaged tablet. "It doesn't just broadcast random cultural artifacts. It creates self-referential paradoxes that force their neural network into logical loops." The prototype resembled a collection of mismatched components: consumer electronics, medical scanners, and what appeared to be parts from children's toys. "The physical components aren't what matters," Zhang said, noting Chen's skeptical expression. "It's the algorithm. We're using human creativity as a weapon in the most literal sense." Chen authorized deployment of the first prototype in the Resistance, cell operating near the ruins of Chicago. The video feed showed resistance fighters approaching the Voidborn vessel while carrying what looked like jury-rigged sound equipment. When they activated the device, the effect was immediate and devastating. The massive ship shuddered as if experiencing pain. Its perfect obsidian surface developed fracture patterns that spread like lightning. Secondary explosions cascaded through, its structure as neural pathways collapsed under the weight of unresolvable paradoxes. For the first time since the invasion began, a primary Voidborn vessel had been destroyed by human action. "Mass produce these immediately," Chen ordered. "And prepare the Athena protocol. We're taking the fight to them." As manufacturing cells around the globe began constructing cognitive dissonance engines from whatever components were available, Chen addressed the assembled resistance leaders. Her enhanced eye gleamed in the dim light of the command center. "The Voidborn made a critical error," she said, her voice steady and determined. "They analyzed our technology, our infrastructure, our conventional weapons, but they failed to understand what truly makes humans dangerous." On holographic displays around her, footage showed resistance cells preparing for coordinated action, artists working alongside soldiers, musicians programming attack algorithms, children teaching combat veterans how to think unpredictably. "They came expecting logical resistance," Chen continued. "Instead, they'll face the full creative fury of humankind. Prepare for Operation Pandora. We launch at dawn." Humanity Strikes Back Operation. Pandora began not with a conventional military strike, but with a worldwide cultural offensive. Every surviving broadcast system, from military communications arrays to repurposed commercial satellites, simultaneously transmitted the most diverse collection of human expression ever compiled, everything from classical symphonies to children's crayon drawings digitized and converted to data packets that bombarded Voidborn communication channels. From the mobile command center established in the Himalayan caves, Commander Arya Chen monitored the global response. The effect was immediate and devastating. Voidborn vessels worldwide exhibited signs of neural network disruption, erratic movements, fluctuating energy signatures, and most importantly, corrupted coordination between ships. Phase 1 successful. Lieutenant Wei reported, genuine hope in his voice for the first time since the invasion began. Their central command functions are experiencing cascading failures. The Voidborn counterattack came with brutal efficiency, despite their compromised state. 3 remaining harvester ships converged on the source of the strongest transmission, a repurposed broadcasting facility in Kenya. The facility and everyone inside were atomized in seconds. They're adapting, faster than anticipated, Dr. Santos noted, her expression grim as she analyzed incoming data. The neural network is developing partitioned sections that can function independently when the main consciousness is disrupted. Chen had anticipated this. Launch Phase 2, she ordered. Across the globe, resistance cells activated their cognitive dissonance engines not in random patterns but in precisely timed sequences. Each disruption was calibrated to force the void-born neural network to reroute through specific pathways that Zhang had identified as vulnerable to overload. We're not just creating noise, Zhang explained to the command staff. We're hurting their consciousness through neural bottlenecks, creating cognitive traffic jams they can't process fast enough. On tactical displays, void-born vessels began to move erratically, some colliding with each other as their coordination failed. Others descended too close to Earth's surface, making them vulnerable to conventional weapons that would have been useless against their standard defensive postures. But the aliens were still devastatingly powerful. For every vessel disabled by human resistance, another adapted its neural patterns to compensate. The casualty reports continued to flood in, entire cities harvested, millions of lives converted into energy for the Voidborn collective. We need to strike at their central coordination point, Chen declared. These distributed attacks are effective, but not enough for victory. Dr. Santos had been studying the neural network patterns since the invasion began. There's evidence of hierarchical structure in their communication, she reported. The vessel over the South Pacific shows unique energy signatures that suggest it might function as a primary processing node. You mean a brain? Wei asked. More like a primary router, Zhang corrected. If we could disrupt it directly, Chen made the decision immediately. Prepare the Aurora for deployment. The Aurora was humanity's last functional suborbital combat vessel, a prototype stealth craft designed for exo-atmospheric operations. Its original purpose had been rendered obsolete when the Voidborn demonstrated their ability to detect and neutralize conventional threats, but Zhang and Santos had modified it extensively. The entire hull is now essentially one massive cognitive dissonance engine, Zhang explained during the briefing. But instead of broadcasting disruption, it's designed to directly interface with their neural network and upload a specialized algorithm we're calling the Prometheus Protocol. Chen inspected the vessel with her enhanced eye. Where military-grade weaponry had once been mounted, there were now components salvaged from art studios, concert halls, and even amusement parks. You've turned our last warship into an art installation, she observed. A weaponized art installation, Santos corrected. One that speaks directly to their neural architecture in a language designed to be fundamentally incomprehensible to them. The mission was categorized as a suicide run. Even with the Voidborn network compromised, the chances of the Aurora reaching the primary processing node were calculated at less than 20%. The odds of successful algorithm upload were even lower. I'll pilot it myself, Chen declared. Wei objected immediately. Commander, you're too valuable to the Resistance. Let me take this mission. Chen's expression softened momentarily. The Aurora's navigation system has been integrated with my ocular implant, she explained. No one else can fly it now. It wasn't entirely true, but it ended the discussion. The launch occurred during a coordinated global disruption event, the largest deployment of cognitive dissonance engines yet attempted. While the Voidborn neural network struggled to process the barrage of human creativity, the Aurora slipped from its underground hangar and accelerated toward the South Pacific at hypersonic speed. Chen felt the G-forces press against her enhanced body as the craft climbed through the atmosphere. Her artificial eye linked directly with the navigation system, processing trajectory adjustments faster than human reflexes could manage. Approaching target zone, she reported back to command. Voidborne defenses are active but degraded. Proceeding with approach vector Theta 9. The primary processor vessel was unlike the others. A massive structure that seemed to pulse with internal light, its surface covered in intricate patterns that constantly shifted and reformed. As the Aurora approached, Chen could feel the alien consciousness reaching out, probing her craft with invisible tendrils of quantum entanglement. "They've detected me," she reported. "Initiating Prometheus protocol." The Aurora's hull began to vibrate as it transmitted its payload, not data in the conventional sense, but something more fundamental. The algorithm Zhang had created was based on the most uniquely human concept he could identify, the ability to appreciate beauty without purpose, to create art for its own sake. The processor vessel's response was immediate and violent. Energy discharges rippled across its surface as its neural pathways struggled to process information that contradicted its fundamental understanding of existence. Chen pushed the Aurora closer, ignoring warning signals as the craft's systems began to fail under the alien counterattack. "Upload at 60%, she reported, blood trickling from her nose as the neural interface strained her enhanced biology. The Voidborne vessel began to fracture, great chasms opening in its obsidian surface as internal systems collapsed. But its defensive capabilities remained operational, battering the Aurora with energy weapons that stripped away its hull layer by layer. "Upload at 90%, Chen managed through gritted teeth. "Primary systems failing, secondary power offline." As the Aurora began to break apart around her, Chen made a final transmission, not to command but directed at the Voidborne neural network itself. Her enhanced eye projected the message directly into the alien consciousness through the same pathway as the Prometheus protocol. "This is humanity's final warning," she declared, her voice steady despite the destruction surrounding her. "Return to the void that spawned you. Strike us again and you will be annihilated. We are chaos incarnate, and your order cannot comprehend us." The upload completed as the Aurora disintegrated. Chen's last conscious thought was satisfaction. As she witnessed the primary processor vessel tear itself apart from within, its perfect structure collapsing under the weight of human consciousness. Across the globe, the effect cascaded through the Voidborne neural network. Without their primary coordination node, the distributed consciousness fragmented. Some vessels simply went dormant, floating aimlessly in Earth's atmosphere. Others initiated emergency protocols that carried them back into deep space, fleeing from a threat their predictive algorithms had catastrophically underestimated. In the Himalayan Command Center, Dr. Santos monitored the dissolution of the Voidborne neural network with stunned disbelief. "It worked," she whispered. "Their entire consciousness is collapsing." Lieutenant Wei stood silent, watching as the holographic displays showed Voidborne vessels retreating worldwide. "Chen?" he asked finally. Zhang shook his head, his expression somber as he studied telemetry from the Aurora's final moments. "She transmitted everything, including herself, her consciousness, her memories. They're all part of the Prometheus protocol now, forever embedded in whatever remains of the Voidborne neural network." In the months that followed, humanity began the long process of rebuilding. The Voidborne threat had receded but not vanished entirely. Occasional scout ships appeared at the edges of the solar system, observing but never approaching Earth. Each one received the same transmission, a recursive loop of Commander Chen's final warning, accompanied by an ever-evolving stream of human artistic expression, a reminder that Earth remained protected by the most powerful defense in the universe, the unpredictable, illogical, beautiful chaos of human creativity. The stars had witnessed humanity's defiance. The galaxy would never be the same.